Hello, everyone. My name is Helene Schokkaert. I'm a project manager at Rascope EU, the European Federation of Energy Communities. Today, I will be presenting to you the Community Energy for Energy Solidarity project and its main findings. It's a Horizon 2020 project that has been running from 2021 until 2024. It's coming to an end in August, so I'm very happy to share with you some of the main findings from the project, but also some of the key content bits of our Energy Solidarity Toolkit, which has recently been published. So without further ado, I will share with you the agenda. It's a very short agenda. I will talk about what SEAS is, so what we have been doing a little bit more than I just did, and then we will go into the Energy Solidarity Toolkit and see what type of content that it offers. So let's start with SEAS. SEAS is a project which is very much populated by energy communities. So it's 6 of our out of 10 partners are energy communities, and then you also have Rescope EU, which is the European Federation of Energy Communities. We are spread across Europe. So we have Enercoop, Énergie Solidaire and Let's Van War from France, Repowering London, and Ali Energy, or energy communities from the UK. ZES is an energy community in Croatia, and Copernico is an energy community in Portugal. And then we have the supporting organizations on the right-hand side, the University of Birmingham, who has been doing the evaluation of the pilots. ENACT has been doing communications, and SNAP is the coordinator of the project. Apart from our partners, I also need to highlight some key concepts that are very central to the project. The first one is energy poverty, and I'm sure anybody watching this webinar is very familiar with the concept of energy poverty. So it refers to a situation in which people or households are unable to access affordable energy services that underpin elements of human flourishing. A second key concept are energy communities. So an energy community generally refers to a legal entity that sets up citizen-driven projects based on democratic and cooperative values to promote the transition towards energy systems that are more sustainable, efficient, and socially fair. This concept of energy communities got defined in European legislation in the Clean Energy Package, more specifically in the Renewable Energy Directive and in the Citizen Energy and in the Energy Efficiency Directive. Respectively as renewable energy communities and citizen energy communities. So the concept very much refers to an organizational concept, not an activity. There's often quite some confusion with other concepts such as energy sharing or collective self-consumption, which are activities. And then finally, we have the concept of energy solidarity. It's in our name, so it's also very central to this project. It's a concept which wasn't academically defined before, so our colleagues from the University of Birmingham did that in the context of the project. And they defined it as a sort of mutual relationship that you build with the people that you are trying to help with. It can be reciprocal, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So it involves a more sustained commitment and a willingness to incur a higher personal cost in pursuit of a shared goal. Then now we will be looking at the Energy Solidarity Toolkit, again reminding you that it recently has been published. On this slide, you can see the table of contents of our Energy Solidarity Toolkit, which already gives you an idea or an overview of the energy poverty alleviation measures you will be able to find in the toolkit. I will go over each of these chapters very briefly, so you have a better idea of the type of content that we provide in the toolkit. So the first bit of the toolkit is already quite an extensive chapter, as it outlines what you have to put in place before you start thinking about working on energy solidarity as an energy community. So it helps you determine what kind of services you would like to offer, how you would offer them, and what kind of capacity, skills, and preparations these actions would require. In general, there are some key overarching principles that we highlight in this chapter, and which need to be taken into account by any energy community that want to implement energy solidarity practices. So everyone involved, I will go through a couple of these very quickly. So the first one, everybody involved should understand the causes of energy poverty and the lived experiences of people coping with energy poverty. Energy communities might find it useful to further refine definitions to better reflect the multiple important roles that energy plays in the daily lives of the communities. So here, the indicators that the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub set out are very helpful in practicing this exercise. You also have to acquire the skills needed to engage with people experiencing a situation of energy poverty respectfully and without judgment. You need to recognize the importance of working together. So people experiencing such situations become active agents in finding and implementing solutions rather than passive recipients of charity. This is very important to maintain social acceptance of the measures you implement and also to make sure that they are very locally rooted and well targeted. Then you also, this also applies a little bit to the next point, which is to create and work with local networks of volunteers and other professionals and voluntary organizations to tackle the issue in a holistic manner. This is to leverage each organization's strengths and to make sure that you are making every use of the good activities that are already happening in your community. Already pretty early on in the Energy Solidarity Toolkit, we focus on evaluation. Although it's not really part of the actual activity that you put in place when you are trying to alleviate energy poverty with concrete households involved, this activity is really of core importance to improve and develop what it is that you are doing. It's all about learning for the future. So in the toolkit, you can find a couple of basic principles for evaluation. I will not go into these into detail because the toolkit is available and you can read all about it there. The third chapter goes into mechanisms to identify and engage with people in vulnerable situations. Energy communities do not always have access to data on vulnerabilities in their communities, such as data on arrears on utility bills or data on who receives social benefits because of certain vulnerabilities. And this makes it especially difficult to target energy solidarity measures and prompts energy communities to identify households in an alternative way. Among our partners, we have identified a number of creative ways of doing that. You can see them on the slides. These include alert signals in your community, which is also something that was very well developed by Energy Poverty Advisory Hub and can be found in one of their toolkits. There's the importance of engaging others, community champions to be on the lookout, people that are very well ingrained in the community and know very well where the vulnerabilities are located. Getting them on board can be very powerful to get to those specific needs. Also, establishing referral networks with other frontline workers can be very effective. That brings us then to the ACT or Alleviate chapter, where we focus on very specific activities, soft and hard measures that concretely tackle some of the key causes of energy poverty. We divided them into soft measures and hard measures because some are more light touch, such as hosting energy cafes or distributing energy efficiency or cozy kits, or giving energy advice in general. So these are more light touch. And then you also have the harder measures, the hard to implement measures as well, such as generating local electricity supply to then deliver to households in vulnerable situations. This comes with quite some regulatory and legislative challenges, administrative challenges as well, and also often requires a very specific organizational structure. The same goes for shared and supported self-renovation, which is a very specific way of doing or organizing renovations, which lowers the cost of the overall renovation by working together with volunteers under the supervision of just one professional. So yeah, in general, these are very diverse in nature, all of the Alleviate measures that we present in the toolkit. We've been piloting each and every one of them, so there's a lot of knowledge shared in the toolkit on the things that you could do or the tips that you can learn from the CEAS partners, but also things that should be avoided. The last type of measure that we have been investigating with the CEAS project are financing mechanisms. Financing mechanisms have proven to be very crucial in work on energy poverty alleviation because often these activities generate a very low return on investment, and for energy communities which have a business model which is still not very well ingrained into the way the energy system works at this moment, and thus experiences a lot of challenges. These creative ways of financing energy poverty alleviation mechanisms have been a very big part of the pilot phase of the CEAS project. So on this side, you can see a couple of financing mechanisms that we have been trying and testing in the context of CEAS. This went from donations to channeling community energy revenues towards energy solidarity activities, to grants and cooperative loans and crowdfunding. Each of these has its own challenges and benefits. It's a bit too detailed to go into that content now, but I would definitely recommend also reading our dedicated financing toolkit on this. Finally, I want to take you through some of the main findings of the project. First of all, we'll look at the findings from the University of Birmingham's evaluation work, and then also from RESCO-PU's evaluation work of the legal context in which these pilot projects took place, because they can tell us something about the replicability and the impact that these types of mechanisms can bring. So first of all, energy communities need to well prepare for energy solidarity work. It's very different work. It requires soft skills instead of just the technical skills, which are often or traditionally more present in energy communities. Structures for knowledge exchange were very essential, not only knowledge exchange but within energy communities, but also with other partners and with other organizations. It requires time, flexibility, empathy, and respect. Funding is a major concern. I've already discussed this a little bit. And then good partnerships are also key, including, for example, with municipalities. In terms of impact, the University of Birmingham identified some positive short-term and long-term change in terms of household knowledge and understanding of energy issues. In some pilots, we also see positive changes with increased affordability of energy bills, a decreased self-restriction of access to services, and also even negative impacts of energy poverty in terms of physical and mental health. So tailored advice was very effective into generating that impact, and which is something that energy communities are very well placed to provide. In terms of the legal and regulatory framework, we've identified 4 main challenges and enablers. So the legal and regulatory framework for energy communities, whether there's a level playing field for energy communities or not, can be a very impactful aspect whenever you are trying to implement energy solidarity activities. If you're not recognized as an energy community, then you have to really start from scratch, and then there won't be much capacity left to tackle energy poverty. Then also the fact that you need some sort of an understanding of energy poverty. If an official monitoring effort is missing of energy poverty in your country, then it will become very hard to do work on energy poverty. Uncertainty in policy and regulatory frameworks also makes it harder for energy communities to keep up, to stay up to date, to build capacity around energy poverty alleviation. And so here we are also advocating for stable policy frameworks. And then, of course, the final one, a lack of recognition and awareness and capacity around energy communities' potential role in energy poverty alleviation. You can have a very extensive framework on energy communities, you can have a very extensive framework on energy poverty, but if it's not recognized that energy communities have a very big social impact and can play a role or should play a role in energy poverty alleviation, then it will be hard for you to get recognition for your activities. With new opportunities arising in the legal and regulatory context with the recent revisions of the European climate and energy legislation, now more than ever is the time to highlight the importance of locally rooted actions to accelerate the energy transition. I always like to end my presentations by showing this infographic, which I think summarizes our strongest arguments for more energy democracy in the energy transition. The arguments that we're building represents the value of citizen community-led actions and adds a fourth indicator to the three classically referenced indicators causing energy poverty, which is the underrepresentation of households in low-income or vulnerable situations in climate and energy decision-making. Their perspectives are crucial for identifying the flaws in our current energy system and guiding us towards an effective and just transformation. So that was it for me. I hope this was interesting, and in any case, feel free to reach out, and I would definitely recommend to read our Energy Solidarity Toolkits. Goodbye.